Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters video. As promised, we have a new set of videos coming soon. In the first one, all of them of course all based on your suggestions. So the first one for this week is a pretty interesting cryptid, and the reason for this is because of how recent so many of the tales associated with this cryptid are. Usually in my past videos when I'm talking about a particular cryptid or a monster, the stuff that occurs happened decades ago, at least in the 1950s, sometimes in the early 1900s, and then in other cases in the 1800s, even before then. But this particular cryptid, all the stories associated with it, including its earliest one, all happened within the last, say, 30 years or so. And then on top of that, you have the most recent tales happening less than 5 years or so ago. So very, very good stuff. So the particular cryptid I'm talking about is known as the lizard man of Scape or Swamp. Again, the lizard man of Scape or Swamp. And you have to go to South Carolina to find this particular cryptid and see and hear essentially all the tales associated with it. So we go back in time. The year is 1988, June 29th, and this was apparently the very first instance, the very first encounter associated with this lizard man. And this happened at 2 a.m. at night. There was a young boy, 17 years old, who went by the name Christopher Davis. Apparently he was the first person to ever encounter this cryptid. The way his story went is he had stopped by a bridge at 2 a.m. and you'll see a picture of it here, and the reason for it is his car essentially blew out a tire. So with that essentially happening on his car, he was forced to stop on the side and try to repair it on there. But as he was trying to repair this, and remember this is at 2 a.m. at night, so this is dead drop in the middle of the night itself. As he was trying to repair the car, he suddenly heard some noises behind him, and what he saw no doubt probably scared the bejesus out of him and would have scared me as well. Imagine seeing something like this running towards you. That's essentially what happened to him. This creature, this lizard man, was running straight towards him. 2 a.m. at night, this kid Chris all by himself, and this thing is running towards him. So he immediately went back into his car, and the minute he did that, this thing jumped on his roof and started clinging on it. And apparently during this melee on here, Chris was able to turn on his car and just get the hell out of there, with or without his tire being repaired. But the thing about this cryptid is that it would not let go. He was apparently trying to swerve his car from left to right in an effort to try to just fling it off, but this thing would not budge. Finally, it took enough effort, but Chris was able to swerve hard enough that it threw this thing off to the side. And the proof of this apparently comes from Chris later finding once he got home, he inspected what happened with his car to make sure that he didn't make this up, that he wasn't just his mind playing tricks on him. And no, instead he found that his mirror was badly damaged from when the creature was apparently swinging at it or ran into it or something along those lines, and there were multiple scratch marks that were found on his car. You'll see a picture of some items on here. I don't know if this particular car is the one that's associated with Chris, but this is another tale apparently of someone else also encountering the creature, and you'll see some of the physical proof associated. That's also what makes this particular cryptid so fascinating, is that there's proof of its attack, not just in the form of damage to a car here, but proof in terms of footprints, which you'll see pretty soon on here. So this is what he had to say. This was his words exactly, what he had to say about this encounter. He said, "I looked back and saw something running across the field towards me. It was about 25 yards away, and I saw red eyes glowing. I ran into the car, and as I locked it, the thing grabbed at the door handle. I could see him from the neck down. The 3 big fingers, long black nails, and green, rough skin. It was strong and angry. I looked in my mirror and saw a blur of green running. I could see his toes, and then he jumped on the roof of my car. I thought I heard a grunt, and then I could see his fingers through the front windshield where they curled around on the roof. And so I sped up and swerved to shake the creature off. That was the testament he gave, because the date that this happened was June 29th, but he just couldn't believe that this happened to him. So it took him a while, but he actually reported this story on July 16th. So about a good 2 weeks later, he reported the story to the newspaper. That was his testament on there, and he even brought the report over to the local sheriff's office. So again, what also makes this very interesting is that this stuff was ran in the newspaper, and we have a public office, in this case a sheriff's office, also writing down testaments, essentially taking an investigation on there. But what's also interesting is that the time period that this happened to him, June 29th, and the time period that he reported it, July 16th, 2 days before that date where he reported it, someone else was apparently attacked as well. And the reason for this was on July 14th, 1988, some sheriff's deputies or cop deputies, they went out to a small rural community nearby that area that was called Browntown. And once they arrived there were some homeowners there that went by the name of Tom and Mary Way. The reason they called these cops on July 14th was because they wanted to show them their car, and there's some strange damage that had happened on their car. There was parts of their fenders on the car were torn away. The particular sides of the car were completely scratched. The hood ornament was gone. The antenna was bent. There were even wires from their motor that had been ripped out. And it looks like whenever the cops started doing a closer inspection, it looks like the molding had actually been chewed. That's how crazy this is. Apparently whatever attacked this thing, which all indications again point to the lizard man, whatever attacked this car was trying to actually chew and gnaw on the car itself. That's what makes this tale so creepy, because imagine seeing something like this, so otherworldly, essentially trying its darndest to eat something that would just freak you the hell out. So that's what makes it so weird on there. And this was a quote from one of the sheriffs who inspected that other car damage. This is what he said. He said, "While we were there looking over the situation, we learned that people in Browntown community had been seeing a strange creature about 7 feet tall with red eyes. Some of them described it as green, but some of them as brown. They thought it might be responsible for what happened to the car." So now we have multiple witnesses associating their experience with this lizard man of Scape Swamp. So this is why this is such a cool and fascinating cryptid, because again, we have so many people, it's so recent, the damage is otherworldly, and we have these people that are reporting this experience on there. But there are multiple other instances associated with this creature, so much so that this particular cryptid and its tales was getting a following of some sort. It was actually attracting tourists near and around the area, and this was so much so that one of the local radio stations there that went by the initials WCOS actually offered a $1 million reward to anybody who could capture this creature alive. That's how large this mania got on there. And in fact, people were reporting that they could see things, that they saw the creature from afar. Some people reported, of course, the damage associated with their car. Others even found tracks, which you'll see pictures of here. And again, this is stuff that was actually posted in the newspaper. These are tracks that are measured about 14 inches in length, and it shows this strange, distinct paw associated with this creature. It looks nothing, of course, like anything as far as a regular animal would have. And even then, if it was, let's say, a lizard paw, lizard paws are tiny. We don't expect them to be that gigantic size. So this is all pointing towards something as far as a real cryptid that's out there right now in that area, that nobody has any idea where it came from or what it's doing there, but it exists on there. So, but yeah, multiple other stories associated with this creature. I'll go to one of the more recent ones on here. If you jump back to 2005, there was also a woman in Newberry, South Carolina. She reported to the police that she hadn't seen not just one, but two creatures that resembled this lizard man outside her home. So not just one, but two creatures on there. So could there be a chance that you have multiple lizard men with this area? Could it be something where these lizard men are having their own population, they're reproducing? Who knows on there. Very, very freaky stuff. But I highly recommend, if you have a chance, look up these stories. There's multiple other stories that are too many to talk about here associated with this cryptid. It's funny, I haven't heard about this particular cryptid before, other than this most recent suggestion. So for it to be reported so frequently, and then for me not to know about it, that's what I love about this, because again, it's bringing out the cryptids that may not have the worldwide attention that others have, but they're still very important to talk about. Interestingly enough, after this summer of the 1988, 1989 period, it kind of died down with regards to reports on this lizard man. Things kind of died down only until, though, most recently, a couple of years back, have things picked up on there. So, was this lizard man away? Was this lizard man visiting from someplace else, returned to their original destination, and then came back? Who knows on there? So, if anybody has any other stories associated with the lizard man, escape, or swamp, please post your comments, share them below here. Definitely love to have anybody else share, especially if you know anything, like if you've seen this creature, or if you know anybody that has friends, family members, co-workers. Remember, this happened in Lee County in South Carolina. So if anyone is around that area and knows about these stories, knows some experiences, please share them with everybody on there. So, alright, thanks again, everybody. Take care. Bye.